I still can't look at my reflection for longer than 3 seconds. The doctors call it PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They say it'll pass, they give me pills, sign medical leave forms, fill out paperwork in triplicate because everything in the Soviet Union requires triplicate, but I know the truth. This isn't stress. This is memory. Memory of something that should not exist. My name is Sergei Volkov. In March of 1979, I was 32 years old. I served as a captain in a special KGB division that doesn't appear in newspapers. We guarded facilities of special designation, bunkers, secret laboratories, and what lies beneath Moscow. Kilometers of tunnels that don't exist on any official map. Metro-2. You want to know the worst part? Not what I saw down there in the dark, but what I understood. We were never alone. Underground? Never. March 1979, Monday. The morning came gray, standard Moscow. March gray, slush, cold wind cutting through wool, sky the color of dirty cotton. I stood at Lubyanka at the service entrance, smoking my third paparosa in a row. My hands shook, not from cold, from something that had nothing to do with temperature, though I didn't understand that yet, didn't call it fear. I had a reputation, the man who feared nothing. I'd been through Afghanistan, seen death, held comrades while life drained from their eyes. I knew what real terror looked like. I thought I did. God, what an idiot I was. Comrade Captain Volkov, I turned. Colonel Gromov stood before me, face like a bulldog, heavy jowls, small eyes, no neck, shoulder boards gleaming, Order of the Red Star pinned to his chest, a legend. They said he personally arrested dissidents. They said he had no family, only service. They said many things, but nobody said he oversaw Metro-2 until today. Sir, I dropped the paparosa, crushed it under my boot heel. Come, short conversation, long assignment. We descended into the building's basement, then lower. The elevator was old, cage-style, protesting at every floor. I counted levels. -1, -2, -3. The elevator didn't stop. -4, 5, 6. Comrade Colonel, I kept my voice steady. How many levels does this building have? Gromov looked at me. His eyes were empty, like a dead fish on ice at the market. Officially, 3. Unofficially, as many as necessary. The elevator stopped, loud, abrupt. The door opened with a metal shriek that echoed down, down, down into something vast. A corridor, long. Concrete walls weeping condensation. Fluorescent lights flickered, creating a strobe effect that made my vision pulse. Water ran along the floor, a thin stream disappearing into darkness. The smell hit me. Dampness, mold, something else. Metal, old machine oil, and another scent. Faint, sweet, like a morgue. Like meat left too long. Metro-2 has existed since the 30s, Gromov said, walking. His boots splashed through the water. Each step echoed 3 times. Stalin personally oversaw construction. Officially, it's an evacuation system for the country's leadership in case of war. Bunkers, tunnels, underground cities. We walked. The corridor didn't end. But that's not all. The colonel's voice bounced off wet concrete. In the 50s, they initiated Program Horizon. Secret, even from us. I've only seen fragments of documents, experiments, with what? Unknown. Results classified until 2070. 2070, nearly 100 years forward. What could be down here that couldn't be spoken of for a century? On March 5th, 1953, Yosef Vissarionovich died. Gromov stopped at a massive metal door, rivets like bullet heads. The next day, they closed Program Horizon, sealed the laboratory. Personnel were partially liquidated. The rest transferred to other projects. He produced a key ring, old keys, heavy, the kind that open things meant to stay closed. But the tunnels remained, kilometers of tunnels running beneath all of Moscow, deeper than the metro, deeper than the sewers, deeper than you can imagine. The key turned, the sound like a gunshot in a cathedral. 1 week ago, a patrol reported strange sounds from Shaft 17. Singing. Choral singing in an unknown language. Then the patrol vanished. 4 men, no trace. The door opened. Beyond it, darkness. Absolute. Thick, like velvet pressed against your eyes. You'll go down with Private Kuznetsov, check the shaft, find the patrol, or what's left of them. Report back. Everything. Clear? I nodded, though nothing was clear. Kuznetsov. A figure emerged from the shadow. Young, maybe 20, blonde hair, boy's face, frightened eyes. A Kalashnikov clutched against his chest. His hands gripped the stock so hard his knuckles had gone white. Private Pyotr Ivanovich Kuznetsov, sir. 3rd month guarding the object. The object, not even a name, just object. Captain Volkov? I extended my hand. He shook it. His palm was wet, cold. Radio doesn't work at depth. Gromov handed me a flashlight. Heavy, military issue. If you don't return in 6 hours, I'll send a second team. If they don't return, he didn't finish. Didn't need to. Good luck, comrades. The door slammed shut behind us. The first 50 meters were normal. Concrete corridor, lit by bulbs. Cables snaked along the ceiling. Signs on the walls. Shaft number 17. Depth 80 mm. Caution, high voltage. Then the lights ended. We switched on our flashlights. The beam stabbed into darkness but couldn't pierce it completely. As if the darkness here had density. Weight. Comrade Captain, Kuznetsov whispered, do you believe in all this? In what? I kept my voice steady. My heart hammered against my ribs. Ghosts, unclean things, that the dead can return. I didn't answer, didn't know how to answer. We walked. The corridor became a tunnel. Concrete gave way to brick. Old brick, pre-war. Stamps on the bricks, 1937, 1940, 1942. War years. Years when they built this while people died above, dripping. I didn't notice it at first, then I heard. Tick, tick, tick. Falling from above, slow, rhythmic, like a metronome. I raised my flashlight, the ceiling glistened, water seeping through concrete, nothing unusual, but why couldn't I shake the feeling it wasn't water? Tick, 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 like counting down. To what? It's cold. Kuznetsov hunched his shoulders. Why is it so cold? He was right. I could see my breath, white vapor. Yet at 80 meters depth, the temperature should be constant. 15 Celsius, always, but here it was freezing, like winter, like standing inside a meat locker. I checked the thermometer on my sleeve. -2. How? The tunnel widened. Walls fell away into vast space. We reached stairs, concrete steps descending into darkness, rusted railings, footprints on the steps, old boot prints, many of them, different sizes. But the tracks only went down. Nobody had come back up. Comrade Captain, Kuznetsov's voice cracked. Do you hear that? I froze, listened, heard, singing, quiet, distant, choral voices rising from the deep, men's voices, women's, children's, all together, singing in a language I didn't know. And I'd graduated from the Military Institute of Foreign Languages with honors. German, English, Farsi, Dari, 7 languages. But this was different. The words slid across my consciousness, refusing to stick. I tried to memorize them, but they slipped away like water through fingers, as if my brain rejected them, as if language itself refused to hold this shape. We go down, I said. Down there? Kuznetsov stared at the stairs. Comrade Captain, maybe we should. Orders are orders. We descended. Steps 1, 2, 10, 20, I lost count. The staircase never ended. Shadows from our flashlights danced on walls, taking forms. There, a human silhouette. Here, something with arms too long. There, a face without eyes, mouth open in a scream we couldn't hear. Just light playing tricks, I told myself. Just fatigue. But I knew. Deep down, I knew This wasn't fatigue. The singing grew louder. Now I could distinguish words, or thought I could. 5, 4, 3. Counting down. To what? 2, 1. We reached a landing. Stopped. Before me, a wall. Concrete, bare. And on it, an inscription. Scratched with something sharp. Letters uneven, trembling. As if whoever wrote this had been in a hurry. Or terrified. In German. Sie kommen. They're coming. Comrade Captain. Kuznetsov grabbed my sleeve. Germans can't be here. We won. 34 years ago. They're not here. Can't be. I stared at the inscription, at the trembling letters, at the date below. Mars, 1945. March 5th, 1945, 2 months before the war ended. Clatter. Kuznetsov dropped his flashlight. The beam spun wild across the ceiling. In that chaotic light, I saw another inscription above the first, in Russian letters, red paint or not paint. Do not go deeper. The lights went out. Kadgera es iodor do yewode. Die oyu. Yue woidu. Iyenye nyode we nyewei. Idi yewe nyodeo yede yes ye yoi. Darkness, absolute, dense, like someone had pulled a velvet sack over my head and cinched it tight. I heard my breathing, rapid, ragged. My heart hammered somewhere in my throat, pulse pounding behind my eyes. I reached forward, nothing. Cold emptiness. My fingers met only freezing air that seemed to resist touch. Kuznetsov, my voice barely a whisper. Kuznetsov, are you there? Silence, then rustling. Right. Or left. Sound ricocheted off walls, distorted, multiplied. I couldn't track the source. Kuznetsov! I'm here, Comrade Captain. His voice closed, but sounding underwater, drowning. The flashlight, I dropped it. My flashlight was dead too. I shook it, slapped the casing. Battery was new, tested. Couldn't die in 30 minutes. Click, click, click. Nothing. You have a backup? I asked. Yes, Comrade Captain, I heard him fumble with his pack. Zipper. Fabric rustling. Metal clinking. Light. Weak. Trembling. But light. The backup beam caught Kuznetsov's face. Pale. Slick with sweat despite the cold. Eyes wide. Pupils blown. Lips moving. Praying, maybe. Probably. What happened? He swept the light around. Why did both lights fail at the same instant? I didn't answer, had no answer. We stood on the same landing. The inscription remained. See common? Do not go deeper. But now I saw another detail. Below the warning on the floor, stains, dark, brown, old. I crouched, ran my finger across the surface, rough texture, liquid soaked into concrete, blood, a lot of blood. Comrade Captain. Kuznetsov aimed his light down the stairs. There's something down there. I stood, looked. The staircase ended. Simply stopped 10 meters below, meeting a level platform, but the platform wasn't empty. A train stood there. We descended, slowly. Each step echoed in the silence. Step, step, step. As if something invisible mimicked our movements following. I turned around several times. Nothing, only shadows, pooling in corners, thickening. The singing had stopped. Now there was silence. But not ordinary silence. This was silence that pressed, that settled on your shoulders like wet concrete, compressed your chest, made breathing a conscious effort. I heard everything, water dripping somewhere distant. Tick. Tick. Metal scraping, light, drawn out, my breathing, Kuznetsov's breathing, and a third, slow, deep, as if something large, very large, breathed beside us in the dark. We emerged onto a platform. There, the train, old, pre-war, maybe from the 30s. 3 cars coated in rust and dust layers, windows dark except one. In the middle car, light, yellow, dim, flickering like a candle about to die. Painted on the car's side, barely legible, faded by time. Special purpose, NKVD USSR. How did it get here? Kuznetsov whispered. There are no tracks, not a single rail. He was right. The platform was bare, concrete floor, no rails anywhere. The train sat directly on concrete, as if someone had picked it up and placed it here, like a toy, like an offering. I approached. The middle car's door stood ajar. Light leaked from the gap, and smell, tobacco, makorka, cheap paparosi, sweat, old ground into fabric, something else, sweet. Like funeral flowers left too long in a closed room. Do we have to go in there? Kuznetsov stood 2 paces behind me, the Kalashnikov clutched so tight his knuckles cracked. We have to, though every instinct screamed, run, 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 get out. I pushed the door. It opened with a shriek, slow, reluctant. Inside, a compartment. Leather seats cracked with age. A small table covered with faded cloth. An ashtray full of cigarette butts. On the table, a glass, tea, dark, strong. Steam rose from it. How? I reached out, touched the glass, hot, scalding, as if someone had just poured it just now, seconds ago. Comrade Captain. Kuznetsov's voice shook. Look at the wall. A clock hung on the wall. Large, round, Stalin era. White face, black hands. Moving. But not forward. Backward. The minute hand jerked. Once, twice. Counterclockwise. The second hand crawled in reverse, slow but inexorable. Like a film played wrong. I stared at the face. Numbers flickered, changed. 1547, 1546, 1545, time running backward. Then the date on the small calendar beneath the clock face shifted. 1979, 1978, 1970, 1964, 1953, 1945. The clock stopped, frozen on March 5th, 1945. At 5 minutes to 3 in the afternoon, the light went out. Not immediately, slowly, the lamp in the car blinked. Once, twice, 3 times, growing dimmer. Yellow light became orange, then red, then nothing. Darkness swallowed us. But this darkness wasn't empty. I heard them, footsteps, many footsteps, marching on the platform. Precise military cadence. March, 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 synchronized, coordinated, parade ground perfect. German march. I knew this rhythm. I'd heard it in documentary footage, in newsreels. March, 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 exactly how they moved. Wehrmacht, SS. But the war ended 34 years ago. How were they here? Comrade Captain, Kuznetsov gripped my shoulder. Do you feel it? I felt it. Cold. Not mere low temperature. This was cold that penetrated, filled your lungs, locked your muscles. I saw my breath. Thick white vapor hanging in the air, refusing to dissipate. And smell. Gunpowder, burned meat, metal, copper, death, the smell of death. The footsteps approached. I heard them clearly now. Not echoes, real steps, dozens of boots marching on concrete. They passed the car. I felt air displacement, movement. Something walked within a meter of us. Kuznetsov switched on his flashlight. The beam stabbed forward, piercing nothing, empty. The platform was empty. But the footsteps continued. March, 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 march. Receding into the tunnel, dissolving. The singing began. Not what we'd heard before. This was different. This was a chorus, thousands of voices, men, women, children, singing in Russian, in German, in languages I didn't know, all simultaneously, a cacophony merging into a single howl. I distinguished individual words, plucking them from chaos. Help us. Don't leave. We're here. Forever. Sie come. 5, 4, 3. Kuznetsov screamed. I spun around. He was gone. His flashlight lay on the floor, beam pointed at the ceiling. I grabbed it, swept the car. Empty. Kuznetsov had vanished, simply disappeared. Kuznetsov, I shouted. Kuznetsov, where are you? Echo threw my cry back, distorted, multiplied. Kuznetsov, Kuznetsov, Kuznetsov. Then an answer, distant from deep in the tunnel. Comrade, Captain, help, they're here. They're a scream, piercing, inhuman, cut off, silence. I stood alone in the car. The flashlight trembled in my hand. The beam danced across walls, catching details, seats, table, glass of cooling tea, something else. On the seat, on cracked leather, lay a photograph, old, black and white, edges yellowed. I picked it up. A group of people, men in white coats, a laboratory. Behind them, equipment, strange equipment, tubes, wires, devices resembling giant vacuum tubes. On the back, inscription in faded ink. Program Horizon Laboratory, number 12, March 1953, one day before success. Signature illegible. I shoved the photo in my pocket, looked around. The car seemed smaller, as if walls were closing, converging, ceiling lowering, or was I imagining it? No, not imagining it. The car was contracting. I lunged for the door, grabbed the handle. It wouldn't budge. I pulled, slammed, shoulder, fist. Open, open, goddamn you. The door remained immobile. Behind me, breathing, slow, heavy, wet. I froze, didn't turn, couldn't. Fear paralyzed me, ice claws digging into my spine. The breathing approached. I felt it on my neck, hot, strange hot against the car's frozen air. Smell, sweet, nauseating, like something rotting very, very slowly. Don't turn around, a voice whispered, low, raspy, accented. Georgian? No, not quite. Something between Georgian and something else. Something that predated modern language. If you turn, you stay here forever. I stood, pressed against the door, not breathing, not moving. Why did you come? The voice continued. There's nothing here. Nothing but what should stay buried. I'm following orders, I forced out. Laughter, quiet, wet, bubbling. Orders, always orders. We followed orders too. Dug, drilled, opened what shouldn't be opened, and now we're here, always here. Who are you? Us? The voice paused, considered. We're what remained when the experiment went wrong, when time broke. Understand? Time broke, and we got stuck between what was and what will be, in the gap. Breathing directly on my neck now. I felt heat against skin. Your partner's here too? He ran. Foolish? You can't run. There's no there here, only here, always, forever. Where is he? I clenched my teeth. What did you do to him? Nothing. We do nothing. This place does. It's hungry. Understand? It feeds. On time, on life, on fear. The more you fear, the longer you stay. Something touched my shoulder. Cold. Sticky. Like wet leather. I jerked. The door flew open. I spilled onto the platform, fell. The flashlight rolled, hit the wall, died. Darkness. I lay on cold concrete, gulping air. Heart hammering so fast I thought it would burst through my ribs. Behind me, in the car, laughter, quiet, echoing, multiplying, and words, final words. Run, Captain, run while you can, but know this. You're already part of it. You came here, you touched it, you breathed the air, you're ours, forever ours. I stood, swaying, stumbled into darkness, arms extended, hands scraping walls, concrete, cold, wet, uneven. I walked, didn't know where, just walked, away from the car, from the voice, from what was there. Then, light, ahead, faint, flickering. I quickened my pace, ran, stumbled, fell, rose, ran again. The light grew brighter. A door, metal, ajar, yellowish light spilling from the crack. A plaque on the door, rusted, letters barely legible. Laboratory number 12, strictly restricted access, 1952. I pushed the door, it opened. Light, fluorescent tubes, flickering, creating a strobe effect. Flash, darkness, like slow motion film. Each movement fragmented into separate frames. My vision stuttered. I entered the laboratory. The space was large, 30 meters long, maybe 15 wide. Ceiling high, 4 meters. White tile covered the walls. Had been white, now yellowed, spotted with mold in places. Black stains spread from corners like spider webs crawling. Laboratory tables, many tables. Metal frames with enamel surfaces. On them, equipment, test tubes, flasks, strange devices I couldn't identify. Tubes intertwining, wires snaking toward generators humming with a frequency that made my teeth ache, and something else. Center of the room, large, 2 men tall, a cylinder, metal with glass panels. Inside, something murky. Liquid? Gas? I couldn't tell. It moved, slowly, churned, flowed with colors that shouldn't exist. Green, but not normal green. It pulsed like something alive, breathing. Red shifting in black. Violet that made my eyes hurt to perceive, that made something deep in my brain recoil. I approached, inscriptions on the cylinder, Latin, numbers. Formulas I didn't understand, but one phrase I could read, stamped on a metal plate bolted to the base. Project Horizon, the gate, 1953. Gate, to what, to where? The lights flickered harder, unstable. I looked around, blueprints on the walls, schematics, large sheets pinned directly to tile. I approached one, a diagram, complex, lines radiating outward, circles, spirals, mathematical symbols I'd never seen, but one detail I understood. At the diagram's center, a point, small, black, like a hole punched through the paper. From it, lines radiated, hundreds of lines, extending in all directions. At each line's end, a date, years, different years, 1945, 1953, 1964, 1979, 1991, 2001, 2025, dates in the past, dates in the future, dates that hadn't happened yet. Below the diagram, handwritten note, all moments exist simultaneously. Time is not linear. Time is a sphere. We found the center. I dragged my hand across my face, skin cold, wet, sweat or condensation, didn't know. Kuznetsov, I whispered into emptiness. Where the hell are you? Silence. No, not silence. Sounds were there, quiet, distant, water dripping. Tick, tick, humming. Low frequency, barely audible. Vibration you felt in bones, not ears, and whispering. Multiple whispers. Voices layering over each other. Men, women. Speaking simultaneously. Different languages. I couldn't distinguish words but felt meaning. Pain, fear, regret. We didn't know. Forgive us. Close it. I moved deeper. Past tables. On one, a microscope. Old brass. Beside it, a slide. I looked through the eyepiece. Something moved. Cells? No, not cells. Something else. Shapes changing form. They contracted into points, then stretched into long filaments, folded into geometric figures, triangles, squares, pentagons, living geometry. I recoiled. My stomach clenched. Nausea crawled up my throat. On the next table, a journal, thick, leather-bound, pages yellowed, edges frayed. It lay open as if someone had been reading it and stepped away for just a moment. I approached, looked at the page, entries, diary entries, neat handwriting, ink, dates at the top. March 10th, 1953. I began reading. Experiment number 47 completed successfully. We managed to stabilize the portal for 14 seconds. 14 seconds. A breakthrough. Colossal breakthrough. What we saw on the other side, it's not space, not time as we understand it. It's how to describe. Imagine all possible moments of time existing simultaneously. Past, present, future, all in one point. We saw it. We looked in the center. Comrade Beria was ecstatic. He spoke of possibilities, changing the past, foreseeing the future. He spoke of power this would give the Union, absolute power. But I'm afraid the handwriting became uneven, letters jumped, lines curved. March 11th, 1953. Something's wrong. After yesterday's experiment, 3 staff members complain of headaches, hallucinations. One says he sees himself as both old man and child simultaneously. Another claims he remembers events that never happened. I'm starting to see strange things too. Yesterday I met Konstantin Petrovich in the corridor. We talked about weather, normal conversation, but this morning I learned Konstantin Petrovich died 3 days ago. Heart attack. Who did I see? March 13th, 1953. Everything's falling apart. The laboratory, it's changing. Walls shift. Corridors that didn't exist yesterday appear today. I found a room that both exists and doesn't exist simultaneously. When you look at it, it's there. Turn away, it vanishes. We opened a door, but we didn't understand what was behind the door. Something alive. It watches us. I feel it. When I sleep, I hear whispers. Thousands of voices. They speak in a language I don't know, but I understand. They say, "You woke us. Now we're awake, and we're hungry." March 15th, 1953. The hand writing this trembled so violently, the letters were barely legible. He died. Iosif Vissarionovich died yesterday, March 5th. Officially, stroke. But I know the truth. I saw them take him that night. When the portal opened by itself, without our help, it just opened, and they came. Beings without form, or with forms my brain cannot process. They took him. Alive or dead? I don't know. But I know one thing. He was the reason. He wanted power over time, and time came for him. We're closing the project, sealing the tunnels, pouring concrete over entrances. But I know it's useless. What we awakened won't sleep again. It's here. It was always here, underground, beneath us, waiting. Millions of years waiting, and we gave it an exit. Forgive us. Forgive us all. The signature beneath smeared, as if someone had dragged a wet hand across it, or tears had fallen there. I closed the journal. My hand shook. Breathing ragged, this was impossible. Delirium, hallucinations, gas poisoning, anything but this. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. This was truth. The lights died, all at once, abruptly. Darkness absolute. I froze, didn't breathe. From the darkness, sound, scraping, metal on concrete, slow, prolonged. Screech. Something moved. In the laboratory, crawled, slithered across the floor. I fumbled for my lighter. Hands wouldn't obey, trembling. I struck it once, twice, 3 times. Flame, small, wavering, but enough to see. The cylinder in the laboratory's center, glass cracked. Thin spiderweb of fractures spreading across the surface. From inside, glow, green, pulsing, and something inside writhed, something large, formless, alive. Crack. Glass shattered. Liquid gushed out, thick, viscous, black with green veins threading through. It spread across the floor, crawled toward me, and there in that liquid, movement. Tentacles, arms, I couldn't tell, shapes my brain refused to recognize. I stumbled backward, hit a table. The lighter fell from my hand. Flame died, darkness, sound closer, scraping, squelching, breathing, multiple breaths. Deep, wet, I ran. Blind, arms extended, crashed into a table, went around, forward. Where was the door? Where was the exit? Wall, cold, tile. I moved along it, felt, searched for the door. The lights came on, sudden, bright lamps at full power. I squinted, opened my eyes slowly, turned around. The cylinder was intact, whole, as if it had never cracked. Glass transparent, not a single scratch. Liquid inside, calm, still, floor dry, no trace of spillage. What was that? Hallucination? But I'd smelled it, heard it. It had been real. Or did this place make hallucinations become real? I didn't know. And that terrified me most. I found a door, second one. Far corner of the laboratory, metal, no plaque, just a door. I pushed it, corridor, narrow concrete walls, wires along the ceiling, one lamp burning, dim, others dead. I walked, didn't look back. Footsteps echoed in silence. Step, step, step. The corridor turned. I followed and saw him. Kuznetsov. He stood at the corridor's end, back to me, motionless. Kuznetsov! I ran. Kuznetsov, are you all right? He didn't answer, didn't turn. I reached him, grabbed his shoulder, spun him around, and recoiled. It was Kuznetsov, his face, his uniform, his rifle on his shoulder, but the eyes were empty. White, no pupils, only white membrane. And those eyes looked at me, through me. His mouth opened, slowly. jaw dropping wider than it should, wider than it could. From his throat poured a voice, not Kuznetsov's voice, multiple voices, children's, women's, men's, ancient ones, all together, speaking simultaneously. Why did you come here? I backed away, stumbled, fell. Kuznetsov stepped toward me, movement unnatural, as if his body was controlled by invisible strings. Arms hung limp, head tilted at a wrong angle. You don't understand. Here. There's no exit. Here only entrance. He leaned over me, face centimeters from mine. I saw every pore, every hair. But this wasn't a living face. This was a mask. Perfect mask worn over something else. You became part, we all here, part of one. His mouth spread into a smile, too wide, corners reaching nearly to his ears. Teeth, too many teeth, even, white, human. But there were too many. I screamed, shoved him, jumped up, ran back into the laboratory, into corridor, anywhere, just not here. Not with this. Behind me, laughter, Kuznetsov's laughter, but not only his, laughter of 1,000 people, cackling, howling, roaring, merging into single sound. I ran, stumbled, fell, rose, ran again, then silence, sharp, complete. I stopped, leaned against the wall, gulped air, lungs burned, heart hammering so hard I heard pulse in my ears, looked around. I was in another room, small room, 3 by 3 meters, bare walls, one chair in the middle, and on the chair, a man, sitting, back to me, hands on knees, head bowed, dressed strangely, military tunic, old, dark green, stars on shoulder boards. General? Marshal? Comrade Captain Volkov, the man said without turning, voice low, raspy, accented, Georgian. Cold sweat drenched me. I knew this voice. Everyone knew it. The whole country had heard it, on radio, in newsreels. But this was impossible. He died 26 years ago. Come closer, the voice continued. Don't be afraid. The dead don't bite, although we're not quite dead here, and not quite alive. I stepped forward, slowly. Legs wouldn't obey. Why did you come? He asked. You thought you'd find something here? Truth? Answers? He turned his head. Slowly. I saw the profile. Mustache. Pockmarked face. Heavy lids. It was him. Iosif Vissarionovich Stalin. Or what remained of him. There's no truth here, Comrade Captain. He turned fully. His face. The face was only half alive. Left side. Normal. Human right side, as if melted. Skin dripped, exposing muscle. Eyeball had fallen from its socket, dangled on the optic nerve. Jaw exposed, teeth visible to their roots. Only what should stay buried. He stood, slowly, heavily, movement stiff, as if the body had forgotten how to move. Do you know why I'm here? He stepped toward me. Because I wanted power. Absolute power. Over life. Over death. Over time. Another step. And I got it, but the price was higher than I thought. He extended his hand. The right one, the melted one. Fingers long, twisted, nails black. Now I'm part of this place, forever. Me and everyone who worked here. We're stuck. Between moments, between life and death, between past and future. The hand touched my shoulder. Cold, ice cold, burning cold penetrating through fabric, through skin, straight into bone. And now you'll become part two, I screamed, shoved him. The hand resisted, stuck, as if made of something viscous. I jerked, my tunic tore, I fell backward. Stalin stood over me. His face changed. Living, then dead. Young, then old. Images overlaying each other. I saw him at all ages simultaneously. You're already here, Sergei, he whispered. You've always been here. From the moment you entered the tunnel. He leaned closer. Welcome to eternity. The world went black. Pain. First thing I felt when consciousness returned. My head split open as if someone drove nails directly into skull. From inside, slowly, methodically, one after another, I opened my eyes. Darkness, not complete. Faint glow from somewhere above. Dim, greenish, like radioluminescent paint on old instrument panels slowly dying. I lay on the floor. Cold floor, concrete, wet, sticky. I dragged my hand across. Off fingers slipped through something viscous. Brought it to my face, too dark to see, but the smell, metal, copper, blood. Mine? Someone else's? I didn't know. I sat up slowly. Every muscle ached. Body hurt as if I'd been beaten or had beaten myself against walls, against floor. Couldn't remember. I didn't remember how I got here. Last memory, the face, that face, half alive, half dead, eye dangling from socket, voice with Georgian accent. Welcome to eternity. Then oh nothing, a gap, black hole in memory. How long had I been unconscious? Minutes, hours, days? I looked at my watch, hands moving, but wrong. Second hand froze, jerked backward, then forward, then backward again. Time didn't work right here. I stood, swayed, leaned against the wall, cold, rough. I looked around, corridor, narrow, concrete walls coated with condensation and something else. Black, mold, fungus, or something alive. The glow came from ahead, faint, pulsing. I walked toward it. Footsteps muffled. Echo didn't return, as if sound entered the walls and stayed there. The corridor turned, widened. I emerged into a room and froze. This was a cell, or what had been a cell, 3 by 4 meters. Walls bare except for one inscription, scratched with fingernails deep, letters crooked, uneven. Day 7, I'm still here, but I'm not here. I see myself from outside, see myself sitting in the corner, scratching the wall, but it's not me, it's someone else, in my body. Further, more inscriptions, hundreds of inscriptions, one over another, different handwriting, different languages, Russian, German, English, others. Help. Let me out. Ich will nach Hause. I want to go home. There's no time here. We're all dead, but we can't die. In the corner, a skeleton, human, sitting, propped against the wall. Bones yellowed, uniform tunic, torn, medals on chest, orders, shoulder boards, captains like mine. On the scaloa crack, wide, clean, as if he'd deliberately smashed his head against the wall, again and again, until the skull split. Beside the body note, paper yellowed, ink faded. I picked it up, hands shaking. My name is Mikhail Sokolov, Captain KGB. I came down here in February 1964, looking for missing patrol. Found them, or rather found what remained. Bodies, many bodies, but they were alive, breathing, moving, speaking, but they weren't them. Something wore their skin. I tried to escape, ran through corridors, but corridors changed. Doors that led up brought me back here. I ran for 3 days, or 3 hours, or 3 years. I don't know anymore. No food, no water, but I don't die. Don't die from hunger, from thirst. I should have died, but this place won't let me. It feeds, understand? This place is alive. It feeds on time, on life, on fear. The longer you're here, the longer it lives. I found a way, the only way. Kill myself, fast, before it stops me. Head against wall, again, until The writing ended, last words smeared, as if someone had dragged a bloody hand across the paper. I dropped the note. It fell beside the skeleton, 1964. 15 years ago. He'd been here 15 years, or 15 seconds, or 15 centuries. Time didn't work here at all. Sergei, I jerked, turned, a voice, familiar voice. Sergei, are you there? Kuznetsov. It was Kuznetsov's voice. Real. No distortion, no multiplicity, just his voice. Kuznetsov? I ran to the exit. Where are you? Here. I'm here. Sergei, help. I can't get out. The voice came from the corridor. I ran, stumbled over something, fell. rose, ran harder. The corridor split, left, right. I darted between them. The voice grew louder, then quieter. Kuznetsov, keep talking. I'm coming. Sergei, here, I'm here. They're holding me. They won't let me leave. I chose the left corridor, ran. Walls narrowed, ceiling lowered. I ducked, crawled almost on all fours, emerged into a hall. Large, enormous, size of a football field. Ceiling lost in darkness above. Walls covered with something living, pulsing. Black mass with protruding arms? No, not arms. Appendages. Tentacles. Moving slowly. Feeling the air. Center of the hollow, the structure. That same one. The cylinder from the laboratory. But now it was larger, much larger. 10 meters tall, 5 meters diameter, and inside olite. Bright, blinding, white with green, pulsing in rhythm with something, with a heartbeat, with breathing. Before the cylinder off figures, people. Dozens of people. Standing motionless, staring at the cylinder. Faces empty. Eyes white. No pupils. And among Thema Kuznetsov, standing in the front row, arms at sides, head straight, staring into the cylinder. Kuznetsov! I ran toward him. Kuznetsov, it's me. He didn't turn. I reached him, grabbed his shoulder, spun him around. His face was calm, relaxed, smile on lips, but the eyes were empty, white, dead. Kuznetsov, I shook him. Wake up, we have to leave, now. His mouth opened, slowly, lips didn't move, but voice emerged. Sergei, you came. Not his voice, that same chorus, multiple voices in one. Now you, stay. All the figures turned, simultaneously, synchronized, dozens of empty faces, hundreds of white eyes staring at me, and they stepped forward. I ran back into the corridor. They followed, didn't run, walked slowly, inexorably, step, step, step. Synchronized march, like parade ground. I stumbled, fell, jumped up, ran harder. The corridor changed, became wider, narrower, higher, lower. Doors appeared and vanished. I grabbed handles, pulled, locked, all locked. Behind footsteps, closer, closer. I found stairs, leading up, ran up them, 3 steps at a time. Stumbled, fell, chin hit the edge. Pain, taste of iron, blood on tongue. Rose, crawled upward on all fours. Footsteps behind, on the stairs. Step, step, step. At the top a door, metal, rusted. I grabbed the handle, turned, open. I spilled out, fell on concrete. Door slammed behind me. I pressed my back against it, breathed, wheezing, ragged gasps, silence. Footsteps stopped. I looked around. Corridor, familiar. Fluorescent lights, wires along ceiling, signs on walls. Shaft number 17, exit. Exit. God, exit. I stood, swaying. Stumbled along the corridor. Signs flashed past. Exit, 500 meters. Exit, 300 meters. Exit, 100 meters. Ahead light, bright, daylight. I ran, stumbling, falling, rising. Door, massive, metal, the same one. Through which I'd entered. I pushed it. It opened. Beyond, the elevator. Cage style, old, the same one. I entered, pulled the lever. Elevator shuddered, moved upward, slowly, groaning. Floors flashed past. -6, -5, -4. I looked down, into the shaft. Darkness, thick. And there in the darkness, movement. Something rising, following the elevator, crawling up walls, fast, -3, -2, -1. The elevator slowed, stopped, door opened, corridor, normal corridor, KGB offices, linoleum floor, posters on walls. The party is our banner. For the motherland. People, officers, secretaries, going about their business, talking, laughing, normal day. I exited the elevator, swayed, grabbed the wall. Comrade Captain, I raised my eyes. Before me, a lieutenant, young, face concerned. Comrade Captain Volkov, are you all right? You're pale as death. I got out, I forced out. Where's Colonel Gromov? I need to report. The lieutenant frowned. Colonel Gromov? Comrade Captain, did you hit your head? Colonel Gromov died 3 years ago. Heart attack. The world tilted. What? No, I just spoke with him this morning. He gave me an assignment. This morning? The lieutenant looked at the wall clock. Comrade Captain, it's March 5th, Tuesday. You disappeared February 28th. We searched for 6 days. Where were you? 6 days. I'd been there 6 days, but it felt like eternity. What about Kuznetsov? I asked. Private Kuznetsov. Where is he? The lieutenant shook his head. I don't know any Kuznetsov. There's no private by that name in our division. But he was with me. Young. Blonde hair. We went down together. Comrade Captain, you went down alone. Witnesses saw. You entered the service elevator alone, and nobody saw you for 6 days. I leaned against the wall, head spinning. Impossible. Kuznetsov existed. I remembered him. His voice, his face, his fear. Or no? Or did that place create him? Implant him in my memory? Give me a companion only to take him away? So I'd feel loss? You need to go to medical, the lieutenant said. Now. You look... He fell silent, stared at me strangely. What? I asked. What's wrong? Your hair, Comrade Captain. It's gray. I ran my hand over my head, looked at my fingers. Hair clung to them. Gray. Not a strand. Not a few hairs. The entire front of my head all gray. I was 32 years old. But in the mirror across from me, I saw a man who looked 50. Medical bay. Examination. Questions, tests. Doctors were silent, looked at results, exchanged glances, whispered. Then the chief physician said, Comrade Captain, you're fine, physically, but what? Your body, it aged. Not all of it, partially. Skin, hair, some organs. As if you lived 20 years in 6 days. It's impossible, but the tests don't lie. I said nothing. We recommend 2 weeks leave. Rest, peace, maybe it'll pass. It didn't pass. I wrote the report under dictation. They gave me the text. Prepared. During routine tunnel inspection, gas leak discovered, hallucinations, disorientation. Comrade Captain Volkov spent 6 days unconscious in service room, found by patrol. Private Kuznetsov does not exist. Product of hallucination. I signed. Received 2 weeks leave, promotion, medal. But every night I wake, from sounds, singing, choral singing in a language that doesn't exist, footsteps, marching footsteps, march, 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 waltz. On the hills of Manchuria, orchestra playing from the past, and a voice with Georgian accent, whispering in darkness, you became part of what you guard. I rise, go to the mirror, look and see. My reflection moves with delay, a fraction of a second, as if between me and Glassoan entire eternity or an entire past. I turn my head, right our reflection hesitates, then repeats, slowly, reluctantly, as if it's not a reflection, as if it's someone else, living in the mirror, copying me, but sometimes forgetting to copy in time. And then I see, for a fraction of a second, what it does when I'm not looking. It smiles, wide, too wide, with empty white eyes staring at me, and whispers with lips making no sound. Soon. 3 years passed. 3 years since that night in March 79, 1,000 days, 72,000 hours. I counted every hour, because counting is the only way to prove to myself that time still moves forward, that it hasn't stopped, that I'm not stuck. They transferred me from operations. Medical reasons, they said. Gave me a position in the archives, basement of the Lubyanka building, -1 floor, not -6, not -7, just -1, safe -1. I catalog documents, sort folders, stamp papers, quiet work, peaceful, no tunnels, no shafts, no secret laboratories. But every night I wake at 3:47, exactly 3:47, and I hear footsteps. In the attic. In an apartment that has no attic. I moved. From the old apartment to a new one. Different district, different building. 9th floor, top floor. Above me, only the roof, no attic. But at 3:47, I wake to sound. Footsteps, above, slow. Measured. Step, step, step. Left to right, then back. Always the same distance, as if someone paces a room that doesn't exist. First night, I went to the roof. Dawn. Cold wind, empty roof. Nobody. Only pigeons and rusted ventilation pipes. Second night, I called the militia. They came. Checked. Comrade Volkov, there's only roof above you. You imagined it. Maybe neighbors? The neighbors sleep. Everyone sleeps. At 3:47 in the morning, the whole building sleeps. Everyone except me, and whoever walks above. Third night, I didn't sleep at all. Sat in the kitchen, drank tea, strong, cold, watched the clock, 3:46, 3:47, step, directly overhead, clear, loud, as if someone in heavy boots stepped on floor. Step, step, step. I raised my eyes to the ceiling and saw dust falling from the ceiling, thin stream with each footstep, as if someone truly walked there, real, physical, with weight. But there's nobody there. Can't be. Step, step, step. The footsteps stopped, directly above my head. Silence. I didn't breathe. Stared at the ceiling. Dust stopped falling. Then I heard it, creaking, slow, drawn out. Sound of a door opening. A door that doesn't exist. I don't sleep at home anymore. I sleep at work. In the archives, on a cot between shelves. The duty officer allowed it. I understand, Comrade Captain, insomnia is serious business. He doesn't understand. Nobody understands. But here in the archives, on -1 floor, I'm safe. No windows here. No mirrors. No ceilings with something walking above. Only shelves, folders, documents, thousands of documents, decades of secrets, everything the KGB wanted hidden from the world. And one day, sorting through another batch of declassified files, I found a folder, old, worn. On the cover, stamp, highest importance, store permanently. Inside, a list. Personnel of Program Horizon, Laboratory Number 12, 1952-1953. Names, surnames, positions. I flipped through, read, don't know why, just read, and froze. There. Middle of the list, Kuznetsov Pyotr Ivanovich, Junior Laboratory Assistant, born 1930. Status, missing March 15, 1953. Kuznetsov, that same Kuznetsov, 26 years younger. Not a private, a lab assistant, who vanished that very day. March 15th, 53. One day before they closed the program. I turned the page, photographs, black and white, personnel files, and there he was, young face, blonde hair, frightened eyes, the same Kuznetsov, the one I saw, who descended into the tunnel with me, who vanished 26 years ago, who doesn't exist. I closed the folder, hands shaking, sweat ran down my back, despite the archives cold. Impossible. I couldn't have seen him. He disappeared in 53, 26 years before my descent, but I saw him, talked to him. He was real, or that place took him then in 53 and used him 26 years later to lure me deeper, gave me a companion, familiar face. So I wouldn't feel alone, then took him away, so I'd feel fear. I kept reading. Further in the folder, reports, incident reports, interrogation protocols of surviving staff. One caught my attention. Interrogation of Senior Research Fellow Alexeyev, VN, March 20th, 1953. Question: describe the events of March 15th. Answer: we completed experiment number 51. Portal was stable for 17 seconds, a record we observed. On the other side was difficult to describe. Not space, not time as we understand it, something where all moments exist simultaneously, past, present, future, all in one point. Question: what happened next? Answer: the portal began expanding on its own. We couldn't control the process. It grew larger, larger, and from there something began emerging. Not creatures, not objects, ideas, understand, living ideas. They penetrated our heads, our memories. Question: explain. Answer: I remember things that never happened. I remember dying as a child, drowning in a river, but I'm alive. I'm here. How is this possible? I remember 2 lives, the one where I died, the one where I survived, both equally real. Question: where are your colleagues now? Answer: they're there, stuck, between moments. They're both alive and dead, simultaneously. I saw Kuznetsov. He entered the portal, thought he could close it from inside, but he never returned. I heard his scream, infinite scream. He's still screaming, in every moment of time, forever. The interrogation ended abruptly. At the bottom, note: Alexeyev VN died March 22, 1953. Suicide. Jumped from building roof. Suicide note. They're inside me. I hear them, all voices, everyone who ever lived and will die. I can't anymore. Forgive me. I closed the folder, placed it back on the shelf, stood, walked toward the exit, and stopped. On the wall, directly before me, a mirror, small, cracked, hanging there probably for decades. I'd never noticed. But now I looked. My reflection looked at me and smiled. I wasn't smiling. I stood stone-faced, but the reflection smiled. Wide. Too wide. Corners of mouth reaching nearly to ears. Eyes were white. Empty. I backed away. The reflection stayed in place, kept smiling. Then it raised its hand, slowly, waved at me. See you soon. And vanished. The mirror cracked. Fracture spread from center, webbing outward. A shard fell to the floor, ringing, sharp, loud. I ran. I don't look in mirrors anymore. Covered all of them at home. Bed sheets, towels, anything. At work, I avoid reflective surfaces, store windows, screens of turned off televisions, because sometimes I see someone else there. Not me, another, standing behind me, staring at the back of my head. But when I turn, nobody. March 5th, 1984. Exactly 5 years since that day, since Stalin died, since they closed the program, 31 years ago. I sit in the archives, evening. Everyone left. I'm alone, as usual, sorting documents mechanically, not thinking. Wall clock shows 8 p.m. Then lights go out, all lamps simultaneously, abruptly. Darkness, I freeze, don't breathe, listen, silence, absolute. Even the ventilation hum stopped, then sound, familiar sound. Step, step, step. Footsteps in the corridor. Approaching, slowly, measured, not one person, many, marching formation, march, 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 march. I stand, back away. My back hits the shelf. Footsteps stop before the archive door. Silence. The door begins opening, slowly, creaking. I see silhouettes. Dozens of silhouettes filling the doorway, standing motionless. Then the lights come on, sudden, bright. I squint, open my eyes, the door's closed. Corridor empty, nobody. On the floor, a trail, wet, dark, leading from door to my desk. One trail, like from one pair of boots. I approach, crouch, touch with finger, wet, sticky, cold. Bring it to my nose. Smell, sweet, nauseating, putrid. On the desk lay a note. I didn't leave it there. Old paper. Yellowed, neat handwriting, fountain pen. Captain Volkov. You escaped us 5 years ago, but you never left. You'll never leave. Because you've been with us from the beginning. From the moment you stepped into the tunnel. From the moment you breathed the air. Our air. You're part of the loop. Understand? Time here is closed. You didn't descend into the tunnel for the first time. You descend again. And again, and again, in every iteration, in every cycle. Sometimes you survive, sometimes you don't, sometimes you stay there forever, sometimes you escape, but always you return. Tonight, at 3:47, you'll hear the call and you'll go, because you can't not go, because it already happened and will happen forever. Welcome home, Sergei. No signature. I crumpled the paper, threw it in the trash, stood, took my coat, walked to the exit, won't go back, never going back to the tunnels, never. But when I opened the archive door, beyond it wasn't a corridor. There were stairs, concrete, descending down, 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 steps covered in condensation, drops falling from somewhere above. Tick, tick, tick. And from below, glow, green, pulsing, and singing. Choral singing in a language that doesn't exist. 5, 4, 3. Countdown. To what? To me. I stood in the doorway, looked it down. My watch showed 3:46. In 1 minute, it would be 3:47. I took a step backward, away from the door, from the stairs. But my foot didn't land on the archive floor. It landed on the first step. Cold, wet, real. I tried to go back. Couldn't. My legs moved by themselves, down the steps. 1, 2, 10, 20. I descended again. And somewhere deep inside, I understood. This had happened before. Hundreds of times, thousands. I'd been descending here forever. Again and again. In every time loop, in every cycle. Sometimes I remembered. Sometimes I didn't. But always, I descended. Because I didn't guard what was below. I was part of what was below, from the very beginning, from when this place appeared. Or when I appeared. I no longer knew which came first. The stairs ended. I stood on a platform. Familiar platform, the train before me. Car with inscription, special purpose. Door ajar, light seeping from it, yellow, dim, flickering. I entered. The compartment was empty. Leather seats, small table, glass of tea, steam rising from it on the wall, clock, hands moving backward. 1984, 1979, 1953, 1945. I sat at the table, took the glass. Tea hot, strong, taste of metal. Then I heard a voice behind me, familiar, Georgian accent. You came again, Comrade Captain. I didn't turn. Knew what I'd see, that same face, half alive, half dead. How many times? I asked. How many times have I been here? Laughter, heavy, wet. Hundreds, thousands, maybe millions. Time here isn't linear. Here all your lives exist simultaneously. The one where you died as a child, the one where you became captain, the one where you were never born. All equally real. I want to leave, I forced out. Leave? Where? You already left, 1,000 times, and every time you return, because the loop is closed, you're part of the machine. You make it work. Your fear, your time, your life, your fuel. A hand landed on my shoulder, cold, sticky. But don't be sad, comrade, you're not alone. There are millions of us here. Everyone who ever descended, everyone who touched this place. We're here, forever, together. One big happy family. I closed my eyes, and then everything around me vanished. Epilogue from Declassified KGB USSR Documents, 2025. Captain Volkov, Sergei Petrovich, 1947-1984. Died March 5, 1984, under unclear circumstances. Found in service room at Kirovskaya Metro Station. No visible injuries. Expression of extreme terror frozen on face. In hand, note clutched. They came. Countdown complete. 5543-210. Note: traces of radioactive radiation of unknown origin discovered on body. Source not established. Case closed. Access prohibited until 2079. Metro-2 is still there, beneath you, underground. Kilometers of tunnels filled with what should never have existed. The Cold War continues, only the enemy here isn't Americans, not Germans, not Chinese. The enemy here is time itself, and its allies, those stuck between moments, who can neither live nor die. Sometimes when you ride the metro late at night, the train slows in the tunnel, just briefly. 1 second, 2. And if you look out the window into the darkness, you might see it. Another platform, empty station with a sign bearing no name, only numbers, 1953, and silhouettes, many silhouettes, standing on the platform, looking at you, waving, inviting you in. Doors close, train moves, you leave, to safety, home. But sometimes, very rarely, someone exits at the wrong station and descends down there where time flows backward, where the dead rule the living, where the Cold War never ends. And you know the scariest part? Maybe you've already been there. Maybe you descended hundreds of times, and each time you forgot. Until next time, until 347. Tick, tick, tick. Peace. If you're listening to this at 3:47 in the morning, look up at the ceiling, listen carefully. Hear it? Footsteps? They're already here.